You've written a good deal about the great perfection as a way, or Dzogchen as a way in Buddhism. Could you tell us a little more about that? Especially since I think we are less familiar with that than we might be with other practices or other ways in the Buddhist tradition. I mean, you've just given us an immensely wonderful and compressed history of the whole Buddhist tradition in about 4 minutes, the best I've ever heard, so certainly you can do this bit now.
No, but you see there's a problem. You're not supposed to. So
but
there's
it wouldn't melt in her mouth.
But the thing is that there's a great urge to blurt on the part of Western students, you know. Tibetans and Tibetan lamas and spiritual teachers can't believe it that Americans can't keep a secret. The entire spiritual life in Tibet is based on secrecy. And the tantras are secret texts. When Merton went to see the abbot of Namgyal Tratsang, the chapter of monks that functioned in the Potala, the abbot said to him, Merton asked him about the mandala, because he wanted to see whether there was going to be any use for this design, this visual, symbolic method of meditative concentration for Western spiritual practice. And so he said, tell me about the mandala. And the abbot said, in Tibet, we would not say the word mandala to anybody except somebody who was a student of Tantra. And in his case, probably one of his monk students of Tantra. But since you've come from such a long distance, and I think also probably parenthetically not said, and since you obviously are such a highly attained person, I will tell you about the mandala. And he proceeded to explain elements of how this sacred diagram is used in Tibetan meditation for tantric training, to transform oneself into the deity whom one is, to whom one has devotion. And then, instead of ordinary devotion to a divine form, to experience oneself as the divine form, which is a part of the higher tantras, and mandalas lead to that. So, similarly, until a few years ago, the word Dzogchen was not spoken. And I had the great benefit of studying with Dudjom Rinpoche, who was the head of the Nyingmapa school, the old school of Tibetan Buddhism, which has as its tantric training Dzogchen. And my own particular teacher, who sent me to Dudjom Rinpoche to study, was very devoted to him, and I went to see Dudjom Rinpoche to get Dzogchen teachings one day, and there was someone else in the room, and he didn't give me those teachings. So I went back to my teacher and said, unfortunately, I was unable to get the teachings that you sent me to get because there was someone in the room. And he said, alas, alas, Dzogchen teachings are never given except in secret to a single person, and usually whispered in the ear. So, I'm a believer, and there are such beings as Dharmapalas, guardians of the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma, and they're protectors of particular tantric lineages and particular kinds of esoteric, spiritual, and meditative trainings. And if you were to go against the requirements of secrecy, you would cause anger on their part, and you would, reap the consequent karma. So what I can say is this: take it or leave it. There is, in the case of certain spiritual masters, certain lamas, a power to communicate from their mind to the mind of a student a view, a vision, a way of viewing called Rigpa, intrinsic awareness. And this is done either in a liturgical setting by a method of abruptly awakening the mind when the Lama sees that the mind of the student is ready. Or else it can be done in a very, very informal context. It can be done harshly, and it can also be done in a mysterious way, such as tapping a glass or something like that. It's the power that a particular Lama has in the case of a student who has true devotion to that Lama, and there is such a thing as Guru Yoga, the yoga of veneration of the Guru, in which you identify your own mind with the mind of the Guru. And that kind of devotion is requisite for the Lama, no matter how powerful he is, to be able to communicate, to do a mind-to-mind transmission, and to instill the capacity to practice intrinsic awareness, Rigpa. And once that has been communicated, it probably is in a very fledgling form, very, very short span of time. The aim then in practice is to expand the span of dwelling in this intrinsic awareness. And within this intrinsic awareness, there are two aspects. One is emptiness, and the other is perception of phenomena. And they are all included in intrinsic awareness. So in my view, the thing that, well, not in my view, in my degree of being able to understand the Dzogchen view, what makes it special is this emphasis on intrinsic awareness. And other forms of Buddhist meditation emphasize emptiness, whereas Dzogchen emphasizes Rigpa, or intrinsic awareness.